Greetings and welcome to Jefficho Films. Today we're going to talk about an Australian film in 2021, a shark movie. Well, that should be good, shouldn't it? Unless they used a bunch of found footage and some really bad CG and mixed it in together. Huh, they did that. But anyways, let's review Great White.
Right there! Someone right there!
I don't see any. There's nothing there.
There's something right there!
There's nothing there.
This movie starts out with some beautiful shots running across the ocean by this small island, and we see a boat and the couple's in the water. And really, this guy's gonna take a selfie. How waterproof is your phone?
Let's go on to the vlog.
We see a shark swim by, so they decide to swim for the boat. I'm not sure Luke's gonna make it.
Look!
But at least his sacrifice wasn't in vain, and this woman made it to the boat. No. Guess they weren't our main characters. Next we meet seaplane couple Charlie and Kaz, and they make love and then talk about their financial troubles, which is how you do it, never before. He gets a call for a booking for his charter plane, and the next day we meet Joji and Michelle, and whoa, he's got relationship issues. He's a bit jealous of Benny the cook, and it's day one. But what do you need a cook for on a charter plane that small? Also, wouldn't that be kind of weird? Fly you to a nice place. We're just gonna sit over here while you have a romantic time while our chef made some food for you, of which, we did make them sandwiches? Come on. Charlie the pilot was a marine biologist, and that's important. Not because his knowledge is going to come in handy if they ever have to deal with sharks in this movie, but because you're like, hey shit man, you're dealing with sharks, shouldn't you know something? He's also got a pretty nice bite on his leg.
8 crew members were stranded here for 15 days with no food and no water. Only one of them survived, and
An 18-year-old Japanese diver.
We get to Hell's Reef and we learn that Michelle's grandfather was marooned there with his shipmates, and he was the only survivor, and it was his dying wish to have his ashes spread where his shipmates died. Charlie and Kaz take a stroll, see some dolphins, and she drops the bomb. She's pregnant. Benny rushes to him because it looks like Luke's remains made it to the shore without his legs. He also has his phone with him, which is pretty amazing because it still works. So when a shark bit into him, he didn't let go. That's important. Charlie also has a flashback of when he got bit by a shark. Joji is not cool with them looking for the girlfriend in the boat, and Michelle spots it and it's flipped over, which is a bad sign. Also, wasn't it anchored? Did she even make it to the boat? It's not like she got to the boat, took it out, and then it got flipped over by the sharks. Oh my god. Decent jump scare when Benny finds the girl, and it's time to leave. I hope no plane issues jump up, but instead we get a ramming shark that actually bites into the plane with some terrible CGI, and that's enough to keep the plane down. So they climb into a raft, and Joji's the last one because he's panicking the most, and they float. They'll be fine, I'm sure. If it flipped an actual boat, I'm sure the raft will be fine. Poor Michelle seems to have being stranded in her blood. And Charlie says if we paddle with the current, it will be a lot easier to find land and, get rescued. He also says that rising temperatures and a lack of fish make the shark probably leave. Michelle tells Kaz during the bonding chat that Joji hates the water. Well, good for him. It looks like he's fucked. Kaz tells her that she used to be a nurse, and that's where she met Charlie. She's just like, oh, here's this damaged boy who got bit by a shark. He's mine. She also mentions that she's pregnant, which is smart thinking in this situation, as women and children are generally first, and she qualifies as both.
Shark! Sit down, you coconut! Fuck off! It's a dolphin.
Oh my god.
Benny keeps pushing Joji's buttons, which is a smart thing to do in these kind of situations. Michelle, though, she could do better. That night, Joji mentions that he's a financial advisor, and they give us a financial assessment of his, and he says it's not very good. Dude, financial numbers, you don't know survival, and you can't even handle water. Seriously. Looks like they're getting a storm, which is a good time to refill water bottles. Michelle looks like she's gonna pass out as she's paddling, and she does, and she drops the paddle in. Kaz really wants that paddle, so she goes into the water to get it. I mean, you have another paddle, it's not really worth your death. The shark comes after her, but she makes it back. I mean, it will bite into your boat, but it won't bite into your much softer raft. Joji's jealousy erupts and he pushes Benny into the water, which is his end. Seriously, fuck that guy. He'll be the reason people die, and I knew that from the start of this movie. Charlie finds a knife among the supplies on this raft. He thinks that if he can stab the shark in between the eyes, it might just work. Marine biologist here, people. I think we all agree that's a terrible plan. Shark randomly decides to knock them out of the raft, and they all get back in except for Joji. I like how he's being circled like they would a seal, and he gets taken out, though a human would be more difficult. But then he shows back up just to get pulled away again, because I guess there's just not enough people to kill for these sharks. Also, sharks would never kill that many people, they'd be full at some point, let's be honest. Well, I think we're down to our 3 survivors. I mean, we got pregnant couple and survivor girl, so it makes sense. But there's still like 20 to 25 minutes left, so Kaz has to give Michelle a pep talk. The raft is losing air and Charlie has fashioned a spear out of the paddle and the knife. And then another shot of the shark surfacing right by Michelle seems to knock Kaz over into the water. You know you're not supposed to stand up on a raft, right? Time passes, they're taking on water. Michelle wakes and she can see a shore and Grandpa's shipwreck, so they're pretty close to where they were. The good news is that's the island they tried to call the Coast Guard from, so if a signal did get through, they'll go back there. The bad news is the sharks know it, and it's now or never, and they swim side by side, but then, take a little detour so the couple can devise a plan. And they have one. Charlie's all like, hey, you take the flare gun and you shoot one, I'll stab the other. Michelle, sure it's pretty far away, but give it your best. Take a swim. I'd really like to thank Discovery Channel for lending them some footage so that we could have some realistic looking sharks. Kaz shoots it in the mouth, and Charlie goes a prison stabby on its head and kills it. Also, the best part is the scream that the shark lets out before it dies. Michelle gets onto the ship escaping death, which means Shark 2.0 is going to go back after the couple. And they're having a moment, which means Charlie's probably going to get bit and then presumably dead, which is fine because he'll wash up on shore later, and then she's a nurse, so everything will work out just fine. But nice shot, Charlie. You completely fucking missed. Kaz meets up with Michelle at the ship and the shark swims back. And I have to call bullshit on this behavior because that is a fixed metal part in the water. The shark is not going to jump up at that. And why the fuck did they fall in? I do like this 1 second shot though. However, the size of the hello there shark is drastically different from the dive shark, which is terrible inconsistency. Michelle's gonna swim for the shore as Kaz is gonna lead the shark into the bowels of the ship, and it's so smart it knows what door to open. It gets stuck, and Kaz's little oxygen tank seems to run out and she seems to drown, until Michelle comes back and gives us a little girl-on-girl kiss, which, seems to help, but the shark doesn't like it. I guess that underwater air exchange was enough to give Kaz the energy to kick a beam, to have another beam from above fall over and stab the shark in the head, killing it. Okay, I've seen worse shark deaths, but the logic of her knowing to kick the beam that another beam was going to come down and kill it. I mean, seriously, the shark is stuck, go swim to the shore. Out of the water, problem solved. Michelle looks at Kaz, and she says with her eyes, come on, can we get the fuck to shore? We've been underwater for 3 to 4 minutes, you're not Tom Cruise. They finally get to shore, and now they can just wait for Charlie to walk up on there, and she can fix his wounds, and nah. Cameraman's panning back. They exchange looks. It's the end. It's a pretty big island though. There could be a lot of animal life on there. They could probably survive there for a while. I mean, her grandfather did. What do you say? I mean, Charlie didn't need to die. He's a shitty marine biologist, yes, but he didn't need to die. But it was a good thing that shark stood still for those dozens of head stabs that he did.
You know sharks, right?
Thought I did.
Joji was a dick. I mean, for a movie that sparingly showed the shark, I thought we would have got a little more character from, well, all of them. Michelle should have been a better survivor. From like grandfather's story, she should have known how to do shit. So that would have been cool if she would take charge and stuff and come up with some ingenuity and stuff. Kaz was a legit nurse. I mean, she should have got more medical stuff to do other than wrap an arm and blot a forehead. I think if you're starting out to make a shark movie, you have to be smart. You have to look at your budget and be like, how good can we make this shark look? And then you have to write really strong characters and a decent script, because chances are you don't have that budget to make a Jaws. And even Jaws, like, man, find a way to fund that. If you could build a shark now, I believe Deep Blue Sea, they said it was $250,000 for like a shark that looked really fucking good, that was like robotic. I'm sure the price has gone up a bit, but seriously, you could have done that. But I guess they were out in open water a lot, unless it was a studio and I'm just an idiot. So they didn't want to do that. Saltwater would probably be a bit corrosive to it. I don't know. Make it work. This was a newer movie. It should have been better. Also, the box office, it's like under $1 million. It's like 656,000. Shark movies do really well. Even terrible shark movies do really well.
I'd rate our chances at all surviving at less than 5%. And that would be fucking optimistic.
In the end, I get it. It's hard to make a shark movie because you want the shark to eat multiple people, but that's not logical shark behavior. So maybe shoot the shark in the head so its brain's screwed and never knows it's hungry or something. Come up with something. Add more sharks. I mean, they had 2 in here, but you gotta have some reason. Like Deep Blue Sea, shark was tired of being fucked with. What's that one with Blake Lively, The Shallows? Like, the shark was territorial in that, and it only ate a few people. So, should you watch this? It's not a terrible movie, but it wasn't as ridiculously entertaining as Toxic Shark. I mean, I accept the limitations of those kind of movies, but this one, you're trying to be serious. You're telling me this guy's a marine biologist, but then, like, you don't follow any logic of, like, shark behavior. I'd skip it. I mean, go ahead and watch it. It's not gonna hurt you, but if you're dying for a good shark movie, this ain't it. Well, as always, thanks for watching.